somebody can help us appreciate, why certain things are the way they are. Because sometimes we get one-sided in our perspective and not being open-minded when it comes to law enforcement these days. So definitely look forward to hearing from some things that you can share that can help us understand how to be more navigate those relationships.
Yes, sir. My pleasure.
Who else we got on the call, and where you from, and what's your background?
Ed Primer, entrepreneur, respiratory therapist.
Ed Primer, entrepreneur.
Atlanta.
What kind of therapy?
Respiratory.
Respiratory. Wow. See, guys, this is what I'm talking about, man. We have so many amazing people with different talents, gifted people on the call. And I would venture to say there's a lot of people on here that probably don't know or can use a lesson in respiratory and learning a little bit more about respiratory services and how that works. So definitely keep that in the back of your mind that you have something that we don't have. And it would be nice just to even learn, what it is that you do, what kind of services you provide, and because we're continually educating ourselves. So we can say, yeah, man, I might not know about respiratory services, but I got a good friend of mine who's on the call, that does. And if there's questions that you want me to ask, and I'll feel free. And then I now have that access. This call gives me an opportunity to get that access. Who else we got on the call?
Man, that's awesome, Joe. I think we got the speaker on. John, you made it yet?
I made it, Frank. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. I appreciate that, Lo. Thank you very much, man. We got to have a round time in the bush. All right, man. Always good to hear each and everybody's voice, man. Ted, it's good to hear your voice, man. That ain't hurt you in a minute, man. Just like I was telling Lo earlier, man. I was about ready to run me a parcel up and come looking for you, man. What been going on with you?
Just craziness.
Yeah, I understand that now. Out there making all that money, that probably reason I can't make it on, man. You raking it all in, man. You got to drop some so people like me just walk up and pick up the strap or something, man. So I'm a brother about to start death over here, man. Help brother out, man. What it said, throw down the boat. All right, guys. I just want to thank each and every one of them, man, for another beautiful day, man. Well, I can't thank you all. I want to thank God for another beautiful day, man. I thank each and every one of you, man, for chiming in tonight on another FORCEOF1 call. Man, I just pray and hope it's something to enlighten, make your day much better on tomorrow than it were on today. So that's the intent. So now I got a good friend of mine gonna be speaking to us tonight, man. He's no stranger. He's been around for for about 3 months or about so. Now he's always on the call, man. He's always adding value. So and I asked him to speak to, and he's so gratefully accepted and everything, man. So we're gonna be hearing from him in just a little while. And so Ted, since you ain't been with us a while, man, open us up with a word of prayer. Huh?
Okay. You just caught me off guard, but God.
You got Bible. We know what the Bible said now. Be ye also ready.
Lord, thank you for the fellowship of these brothers on the line tonight. Thank you, Lord, for all that you do for us individually on a daily basis.
Yes, sir.
Future is not promised. Lord, I just want to say thank you, and thank you for this friendship, for the FORCEOF1, and the knowledge that it brings us. Amen.
Amen. Appreciate that. Now I'm fired up. Now we all fired up and ready to go, man. And so I just pray and hope each and everybody, man, are living their life, man. They're living their life intentional, because that's what life is all about. If you're not living a life intention, that means someone else designing your life for you. If someone else designing your life for you, things not going to always go according to the way you would love for them to go, and you're going to go through life pretty much being unhappy, man. So that's do all you can to live an intentional. Or you live by design or you live by default. Just that simple. It ain't nothing in between, man, because each and every day you got to continue to work on yourself. And that's one reason we have the broadcasts and everything, man, so we be able to help somebody, screen somebody, give them that fortitude to want to just go just a little bit further. That's what life is all about. Regardless, after you done exhaust all your strength, you always got to tell yourself just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Just those 5 words right there should be able to keep you going just a little bit more. That's what you should tell yourself each and every day. When you start feeling yourself, getting tired, tell yourself just a little bit more. And then you just do just a little bit more. You'll be surprised how your strength will just come back to you, because you got to continue talking to strengthen yourself. And so I'm not going to hold the time. I'm going to bring John on, give John as much time that he needs, man. And so, John, I looked for your bio, man. I don't know what happened, man. I don't know what I hit the delete button or what, man. So I'm just going to have to just let you introduce you in your own way. Just for a roll call, just for a second. Do we have someone on the Force of One call for the very first time, never been on the Force of One call before? If so, just raise your hand and say, hello, how you doing, and who you invited by right quick. Anybody never been on the Force of One call before? Okay. All right, then. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to John, man. John Bentley, like I said, he's a good friend of mine. And so I just pray and hope each and everybody got pencil and pad, ready to take notes, because I know he got something to say, man. Know that without a shadow of doubt. Otherwise, I wouldn't have asked him, to be the guest speaker. And so he spoke with him earlier today, and he said, he's just going over some things, just preparing himself. And I told him, man, you already prepared. You ain't got to prepare. You stay ready. When you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. They're going to go ahead and turn the bowl, man, let him introduce himself his own way. And so I'm going to mute everybody out, John, and it's all yours, John. Go ahead and take it away, John. Go.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Frank. And thank you, Dr. Frank, and everyone that's on the call tonight. I'll just give you a quick snapshot of my background. I spent 21 years in the Air Force and was fortunate enough to retire in March of 2003. Spent most of my time in communication electronics. But in my last 3 years, I was fortunate enough to be able to teach leadership, management, and communication skills to the senior enlisted leaders. I transitioned that into a business, Power to Transform, where my primary focus is on helping people learn to lead themselves more effectively, because my point of view, and I'll share how I came to this in a moment, is if you can't lead yourself, you don't earn the right to lead others. I am married, got a beautiful wife. This is my second marriage. We're working on 18 years. We have 5 children and 3 grandchildren. We did lose our oldest daughter in 2010. I'll talk more about that, as well as just how I think God uses circumstances in our life to help us grow more into being Christ-like, as long as we're willing to accept and learn from that. So I'll ask you this question. I want you to imagine right now that I'm shaking a Coke can, and I hand it to you, and I ask you to open it. More than likely, your answer would be no. And if you'd have been with me April 9th, 1992, my 10-year anniversary in the Air Force, that's exactly what happened to me. The most respected individual in a 1,200-person organization called me aside and shared a life lesson, because I was leaving the Air Force because they weren't promoting me fast enough. You see, I'd made it all about me and forgot about the people I should be serving in the organization I should be serving. So I refused to open it. He took the Coke can, and he got truthful and kind. Now, notice I did not say truthful or kind. I said truthful and kind. When we think about kindness and truth, we think about Proverbs 3, verses 3 and 4. Because if you're just truthful, normally what you're going to do is just tell somebody how you feel about them. You're going to get them told. And if you're just kind, 9 times out of 10, you're going to skirt around the issue because you don't want to hurt someone's feelings or get your own hurt. You see that Russell G. White, what he saw in me something I didn't see in myself. And here's what he said. He said, John, why didn't you open that Coke can? And I shared, what's in it will spew on me and you and get us dirty and sticky. And then here's what he said in a very calm voice and truthful. John, that's what you do when things don't go your way and you think you're right. He said, you have the got to be's. You got to be the smartest person in the room, the strongest person in the room. You got to be the go-to person. He said, but here's what I want to share with you, John. You've got all the talent in the world, but until you learn to lead yourself, you're going to always struggle. You're going to be frustrated, and you're going to limit your opportunities for success. So until you learn to lead yourself, you'll never earn the right to lead others. Now, last week, one of our brothers talked about we've got hurts from growing up and in our past. And from that day forward, I went on a journey to understand why did I spiral out of control, slip, trip, and fall when I did not see myself as worthy and valuable. And here's what I come to understand. Growing up, my dad always wanted me to be my best. Well, I took that as a child that I could not do anything, so why try? And I also started thinking that if I'm going to do something, I need to do it myself. Don't trust other people and be perfect in doing it. So when that Coke can incident happened, I was 31 years of age. I'd never had anyone give me that kind of feedback, but I was very fortunate that someone saw in me what I didn't see in myself. And also very fortunate that he mentored me over the next couple of years. So here's what I discovered is that if I'm living for the world, I'm being led by my flesh, I get my value, my worth from the possessions I have, what I own. I also get possibly my value from the titles I have, the degrees I have, or I get my value from what other people think about me. Now, I'm not saying in itself that any of those are bad unless that's where I'm truly getting my value. So can you see how that if I didn't seem smart enough, if I didn't seem strong enough, if people didn't like me, how I might behave more like a defensive child or try to force my way on others more like a parent? And so what I learned to do is to recognize where is my true identity. And this is where I had a friend in Oklahoma City, which is where I was stationed at the time. He helped me transition from how I saw my earthly father, who I considered did not really love me and nothing was good enough, to see how that my heavenly Father truly loved me unconditionally. And he had things he wanted to teach me to change my mind about life. And I want to share with you tonight some of those tools that I gathered to be able to do that. And I'm going to make the assumption that most of you on the call have probably completed some type of personality profile or assessment like Myers-Briggs, or possibly a behavioral assessment like the DISC behavioral profile. And I want to kind of share some of that information. And then at the end of the call, or I'll just do it now, I'm going to offer you the opportunity to take the assessment at no cost and do a 20-minute strategy session with you to look at the strengths of that style with you, and also what are some things that you might want to pay attention to or be concerned about that when you overuse those, how it becomes a limitation. So I want to get back into being led with the flesh first and just give you a quick definition. Being led by the flesh implies that our identity is not rooted in who? Christ. And therefore, if my identity is not in Christ, what I'm going to do is fight or use all means possible to attain earthly possessions and positions. I also will not depend on people to define my life and destiny. However, if I am led by the Spirit of God and my identity is in Christ, I'm not going to struggle to attain earthly possessions and positions just to make me look good or have value. And I'm not going to always be seeking the approval of others to give me value. Instead, what I'll learn to do is seek to please God and do His will. So when I seek Him first above all other things, that's when I use my possessions and the gifts He's given me for the service of both God and humanity. So besides our identity in Christ, it'll also help us realize that any possession God puts in me or gives to us is for the service of humanity, but not selfish gains. So God wants us to possess possessions and have dominion over the earth, but not for our selfish gains, but for whose glory? His glory. So our goal is to locate our identity in Christ, the Spirit of God, so we can rely on Him alone, for Him, so we can live and move and have our being to be more helpful for others. So if you think about, again, if you think about Galatians 5, and it talks about those things that when we're living in the flesh, and I like to use the word L in the word world, it means I'm languishing, I'm struggling. So the first thing I had to start realizing is, number one, that my work came from God, and number two, He gave me some gifts. So I like to use gift as an acronym for God's image and fulfill talent. So what I'd like to do now, if you're taking notes, great. If you're not, Again, I'm going to give you the opportunity to take this assessment at no cost and do a 20-minute strategy session with me if you're open to it. I kind of want to walk you through those various behavioral styles and then give you some biblical characters around each one. So if you were writing this down on paper, what I would have you do is draw a line at the top of the page all the way to the bottom of the page in the center, and then draw one horizontally, so we're creating like a window pane. And if you picture the upper left window pane, that behavioral style is the way I like to label it, is do it now. In other words, that style wants to get immediate results. They want to take action. They like challenging themselves and others. And they're motivated by power and authority, competition, winning, and success. And when I think about a biblical character that was a do-it-now person, it was Paul. And, of course, before Paul came under God's hand and was being led by the Spirit, he was actually crucifying Christians. So what God had put inside him, these natural gifts of do it now and take immediate action, he was actually using it in a way that did not serve God. But what happened when Paul was converted and came under God's direction? The same natural gifts that Paul had, he became committed to serving God and letting us know the importance of loving and chasing after God and for God to love us. So his behavioral style didn't change a bit. God simply gave him a new mission, and he became one of the greatest, most dynamic leaders of the new church. Now, you might relate with that style of taking fast actions and being really focused on getting the task done. But let's look at another biblical character and another style here, and that's the influential behavioral style, which I like to call involve others. And I think of Peter when that style comes in, because he was a man who was sure of himself, and he did not mind speaking out in groups, but he was also very impulsive. In fact, some of his strengths were expressing enthusiasm, taking action, encouraging, and being collaborative, and he was motivated by recognition, activities, and friendly relationships. But do you remember what Jesus said to Paul? He said to Paul, "You will deny me 3 times before the rooster crows." So when I'm not being led by the Spirit, I'm going to commit those sins using the gifts that God gave me, even because I'm not aware of allowing God to lead me. So one of the limitations for Peter in wanting social recognition is he didn't want to be rejected, and he was fearful of people taking advantage of him or wanting to harm him. So he lied 3 times. But now, after Jesus was resurrected, if you remember, Paul and John went in and actually healed a man. And when they were confronted on whose authority do you heal this man in, Peter spoke up and said, Jesus. So again, just like Paul, Peter was being led by the Spirit. He was using those same gifts God gave him, but to glorify God instead of to serve himself. So we've just talked about 2 styles, dominance or do it now, and influence, involve others, that are both outspoken, very assertive and bold. And we've just looked at how, if I'm allowing my flesh to lead me, how I use my strengths for my gain. But when I'm allowing the Spirit to lead me, I'm using the strength to glorify God, and then God's going to give me my gain. So let's take a look at a couple more real quick. And the next one is the support others, what I like to call the steadiness style. And I think of Abraham when I think of the steadiness style, because he showed us that if I support people, if I'm there to help people, if I have harmony, and that I want stability and I enjoy collaborating, which is nothing I can't do to serve others. His natural strength that God gave him was a way to serve others, and he was motivated by stable environments, sincere appreciation, cooperation, and opportunities to help. So if you remember, both he and Lot were extremely wealthy and had large herds, and this made it difficult for the land to sustain both their needs. So their servants even began to get in arguments, but not wanting to cause conflict. What did Abraham do to keep peace? He made a suggestion. He revealed that the devotion of his family and the desires for peace, and he asked and recommended that Lot take the land. So that revealed his commitment to people. But there was also a time where, if you think about Abraham actually lied. He claimed Sarah as his sister. So a fear of this style is loss of stability, change, and offending others. So again, when we get under pressure, if the Spirit's not leading us and our flesh takes over, we're going to behave in ways to protect or get our gain versus glorifying God. And then the last style I'll talk about briefly is Moses. Moses is a do-it-right person. If you remember, he asked God lots of questions, and he wanted to make sure that things were done right, and he was going to be accurate before he did them. So the typical behavioral style of this C style is ensuring accuracy and maintaining stability, and they're motivated by opportunities to use expertise or gain knowledge, attention to quality. So if you look at Moses, he actually wrote the Ten Commandments. He went up on the mountain, made sure they were accurate, made sure they were right, and come back and presented them. So he stuck to something till it was finished. But what's the negative side of the high C style or the do-it-right style? In this case, they need lots of details, but when they're confronted with a problem, especially one in which they don't want to get involved, that's when they'll ask those questions or try to overwhelm you with facts. So I've given you 4 definitions. Now I'd like to give you an example to put it into context, if you don't mind. And I would like for you to think based on those styles, and I'll briefly repeat them here again and give you an example for you to think about which one you might be. Get back to my notes here. So if you were a do-it-now person, it means you're very directive, you're a risk taker, and you want to get immediate results. So you're task-focused, but let's take action right now. If you want to involve others, you're persuasive, sociable, and confident. You don't mind speaking in front of groups, so you're very assertive and direct, but you're more people-focused. If you're the high S style, like Abraham, the support others, you're more patient, loyal, and a team player, and like harmony and want to follow plans. So you're people-focused, but more indirect. You tend to sit back and take information in to know how to help. Or if you're like Moses, which is a do-it-right style, again, you're more methodical and you take information in and you listen before you speak, but you're task-focused and you want to be accurate, restrained, and you have very, very high standards. So I want you to think just for a moment, which of those 4 might you be? And you'll probably relate to say, well, John, I'm a couple of those, and you would be absolutely right, because what I want to share with you, you're a combination of all 4 styles to a greater or lesser degree, and this is the way God wired you. I call it your design natural abilities. So I'm going to put it in context now. I want you to think about which one you chose, and if you were a vehicle, based on your style, what vehicle might you be? And I'm not going to ask you to answer. I'm just asking you to think about what vehicle you would be. And here's what I learned, is that I have the ability to do all 4 of these styles. But my natural tendency is to take immediate action, involve a lot of people, and let's get the goal done quickly. So if I were a vehicle, I'd be a candy apple red 1968 Camaro Super Sport with a 396 engine, a loud stereo, wide tires, because I'm powerful, I look good, and you know I'm coming. You say, well, so what, John? So I'll put it in context for you. If I was driving from here to Atlanta, I'd take 65 south into Birmingham, pick up 20, run it over to Atlanta. Most days on a beautiful day doing 78, 79 miles an hour, I'm not going to get pulled over for a ticket. But invariably, on my way to Atlanta from my home in Alabama, I'm going to see those diamond orange-shaped signs that say, work ahead, double fines when speeding, slow down. And then I'm going to see that orange flashing light or yellow flashing light, which is telling me to get over into one lane. So here's the key to it, The situation, the environment has changed, asking me to be most successful in it, to change my behavior. So I back my foot off of the accelerator. I slow down to an appropriate speed. I get tuned in to people more around me. I make sure I stay in my lane and I don't pass. So the idea is being that when I get in a situation, I can adapt my behavior to be more effective for a given situation. So the best way for me to explain this is to share with you a lady that I worked with who was the do-it-right style, very accurate, very restrained, and she had very high standards, wanted everything to be perfect. She wanted me to help her learn how to do some formulas in an Excel spreadsheet. I had a couple of options. I could have easily given her an online course to take and asked her to do it, or I could sit down with her and walk her through the steps. I chose to walk through the steps because I knew she needed to understand it was being done right, and through an online course, she could not ask questions. So basically, what I did was walk her through her, called out the steps. She called them out, had me try them. I called them out. She tried them. She did them on her own. 45 minutes later, she's up and functioning, and I never had to do that task again. So you're learning how to adapt your behavior in a given situation, not only to meet your needs, but to meet the needs of the other person. So if I talk to you about Jesus and how he adapted, I'm going to use the story of Mary and Martha. Mary and Martha. If you remember when Jesus went to raise Lazarus, Martha come out and met him at the door. And Jesus exemplified not only the behavioral style that Martha was communicating in him to, but any interaction that he had in the Bible, you'll notice his behavior is changing to not only satisfy his needs and his message, but to meet the needs of the other person. So with Martha was very active and Mary was passive. So if we say Martha was active, she was more of the do-it-now style, and Mary, being passive, was more of the high S style. So Martha went out to meet him and basically said, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Now, Mary said the same thing. But here's how Jesus responded to Martha. He simply stated, matter-of-factly, Lazarus will rise again. And Martha thought Jesus was referring to the final resurrection. But Jesus responded to her concerns, reminding Martha that life and resurrection was wrapped up in him. So the whole dialogue with Martha was an intellectual, factual, theological basis. It dealt strictly with facts, no emotions. And it was very forthcoming, truthful, and kind. See, Martha's tones were aggressive and accusatory, but Jesus did not buy into that and respond the like way, because he was not offended, and his response comforted her. But what did he do with Mary when she said the same thing? He saw her weeping, and those who had come with her. He was moved and simply asked, where have you laid him? It is now that we read the shortest verse in the Bible when Jesus wept. So he had those same emotions she did. And even though both sisters used the same words, Jesus' response was very different, each one behaviorally predictable. So just like me and my candy apple red Camaro, based on the other people in the environment, being led by the Spirit, I can adjust my behavior to satisfy the needs of everyone involved. And isn't that really what Jesus asked us to do, is to first learn to love ourselves, and then secondly, love others, and then finally the greatest commandment is to love God and have a relationship with him. So you see, I'm learning not to conform to the patterns of the world, which I learned growing up and from others, but I've been transformed, or we're being transformed, because he renews our mind. And I think the goal here is not to become so well adjusted to the culture that we fit into and not even thinking. In other words, being on autopilot, being like a thermometer where we just react to the temperature. But instead, he's asking us to be more like that thermostat and to have that self-control and to follow his will. And the only way we can do that is to be led by the Spirit, to be changed from the inside out, to be able to recognize what God wants or the other person wants and quickly respond to it. So don't let the culture drag you down to a level of immaturity, but allow God to bring out the best in us and to develop that well-formed spiritual maturity, because we are allowing God to lead us and produce the fruit of the Spirit through us. So I'm going to stop there for just a minute to see if there's any questions. I have a couple of things to add, but I want to see if there's any questions or points of clarity that I might add around those 4 styles I've briefly described to you.
Okay, I'm going to open it up and see if anybody have any questions or anything at this point.
Hey, real quick, I got a question.
Okay.
Yeah, who is this?
This is Earl.
Yes.
This is Earl. Hey, when the window pane, the points that you gave, I know you told us what the top left one was, but I didn't hear where others were in proportion to the window pane.
All right. So, well, thank you for clarifying that for me. So the upper right is involve others, and it's very direct, just like the do it now is. Very direct. It's on her mind, it's on her lips, and it's people focused. And let me know when you're ready for me to move to the next one, sir, so I don't talk too fast.
Oh, no, I'm ready. Thank you.
All right, so the lower right pane is support others. And that style is also people focused, feeling more in emotions, but it's more indirect. In other words, I'm going to think about things before I say it. Because what I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm not causing conflict. I want to make sure the environment is stable and it's a lot of harmony.
Okay.
And then the lower left was the do it right. Again, it's more indirect. I'm going to think about things before I say it because I want to be accurate. And it's very task-focused, that style is.
Okay.
Any other question or any other points you'd like for me to go back to on that, sir?
No, sir. I just wanted to put it in the proper place. But I love the analogy about the sports car. I love the way you broke down about adapting and how Jesus adapted to different situations. Really enjoying you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that very, very much. Anybody else with any questions or points of clarification that you want me to make?
This is Larry
anything
Williams.
to add, basically? Yeah, Larry.
Yeah, I don't actually have any questions, but I feel the same way. I like the analogy you gave, and I feel I'm all for those training styles or skills. And I love how you're using the word. So that's awesome. Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir, I appreciate. Go ahead.
That was me. I was just saying, I'm about like Larry on that one, Larry. Good to hear your voice too, my brother. Yeah, man, I feel though like
thank you.
I got some of all 4 of those in me. I know you said you may have 1 or you may have 2 on me, but as I was looking at them, that's man, all 4 of those are me.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good, man. I'm enjoying it thoroughly as well too. Anyone else? All right.
All right.
No,
So, well,
I'll
go ahead and. Okay. So go ahead.
All right, John.
So I'll go back just a little bit on the styles, and the more emotionally mature, and I'll really say it from a biblical standpoint, the more spiritual mature I become, the easier it is for me to move in and out of these styles. So whatever's most easiest for you is going to take less energy. So if you think about it in those terms, there's times that I may overuse my strength and not be aware of it. And I'll take a look here at the what I call the do it now style and give you a quick description of overusing the strength. And the do it now style, the overuses is the need to win, resulting in win-lose situations. Now, normally, if you think about that, my need to win means the flesh has now got a hold of me. For whatever reason, I've decided I got to be strong, smart, the most responsible person in the room. My natural tendencies when I get under pressure, so I become impatient and demanding if I'm that do-it-now style. I start overusing that strength. That's the flesh leading me. It's no longer the spirit. And normally in that situation, I want you to think about this from a psychological standpoint. You're really becoming more of like a parent. I've got all the answers. It's going to be my way. I don't need any input from anyone else. So really what you're telling yourself and not even realizing it is, I'm okay. but you all are not okay. It's going to be coming from my perspective. Now that's the do it now. Let's take that over to the involve others for just a moment. Take a look at their overuses. The overuses for the involve others is optimism and praise. In other words, I'm going to do everything I can to sell you why this is important. I'm not going to take into account that there could be risk to the activities that we're going to go into. I'm not willing to listen to others. I'm just going to talk about and try to continue to sell you how we can make this happen. And so under pressure, what happens then, if people aren't buying in and I'm overusing my strength, I get disorganized and I become overly expressive. So I'm going to use the term here that I tend to verbal vomit. And in this case, more than likely, psychologically, I'm behaving like a defensive child. Going back to when I was 5 and 6 years of age, and I'm just behaving emotionally how I got my way back then. So again, I'm being led by the flesh. I'm not being led by the Spirit because I'm not aware of what's happening. So now let's drop down to the lower right pane and look at the support others style. Their overuses tend to be modesty. They're very passionate. They're very passive and resistant, and they'll compromise at anything. So again, if conflict occurs, what I may take on psychologically is a helpless child behavior, where I just want harmony, and if I don't rock the boat, I'll just be quiet and do what they tell me. I won't say no. And then under pressure, what I do then, see, is I give in, and I avoid revealing my true opinions. And then last but not least is the do it right style. Do it right style. Their overuse is analysis and restraint. They're going to deal primarily in facts. They don't like conflict. So under pressure, what they do is they overwhelm you with logic, and they become very rigid. So in a lot of ways, they're taking on that parent psychological state instead of being in the adult, the here and now, and being able to solve problems and to do it in a way that brings everybody together. So I share that with you because I forget the brother's name last week. It was so powerful when he said that we live out of a psychological path. And when we do, that means God's not leading us. I'm allowing past events to come forward into a situation right now that I'm using them either to protect me, I'm going to just give in and protect me, or I'm going to dig in and force my way. And when I do that, I'm not going to achieve the best outcomes with that. So I'd like you to think about for a second ego states. We call those the parent, the adult, and the child ego states. That's psychological ages that fit within all of us. See, the parent's language is one of values. The child's language is of emotions. And if you think about a child, you remember, for those of us that have children or have seen nieces and nephews or small children when they're learning to walk, they can only go forward. And the next thing you know, they bump into something, and it knocks them back a couple of steps, and they move forward, and they bump into it again because they don't know any other way. And then eventually what they start doing is crying or fussing, or they end up falling because they don't know how to turn around. So they haven't learned another way to do that. So at times our psychological ages of when we were children or when we remember things our parents taught us come into play. They're harmful. All of them are not harmful, but if I get hung up in one of those, like being a parent and got to have my way, or just trying to sulk and pout and have my way, I've made it about me. I haven't made it about serving others or making it about helping an organization. So I throw that out there just to get you to think about it, and that is another assessment that I can certainly send to you to take and let you see what your tendencies are, because here's what I found, and I'll have you write this down if you want to, but I'll also send it to you. I'd have you write down when you lose control. So when you lose control, those are 4 words. Now let me define control a little bit for you. When you lose control meaning I either dig in and want my way, I'm right, you're not, I really don't want any input from you, I'm okay, you're not okay, or I give in. Now what I'm really doing is I'm not feeling okay, and I'm seeing you as okay, and I don't want there to be any more conflict with it. I lose control. So I'm no longer being able to think or allow God to lead me to do the fruit of the Spirit through me, so that I'm patient, I'm gentle, I'm understanding, I'm kind, I have joy in me, I have peace in me. I'm now being led by the flesh. And what happens when you lose control, strike out the word win, strike out the word control, the only thing that's left is you lose. So I'm sharing with you tonight some of the tools that I've been exposed to, that I've been studying since about 2000, well, since 1992, but really critically studying since 1999. And what I would like is some input from all of us on, based on what we've heard tonight, how does that keep us from achieving our dreams, from serving others, for actually living out those two greatest commandments, having a strong relationship with God and allowing him to reveal to us things that are unchristlike about us, and also being able to love others. Because we're supposed to love others as we love ourselves. And my belief is, if I'm not self-aware and can't manage me and be more like that thermostat and let God lead me, that I can't love me, there's no way I can love others. So the last thing I'll say before we get Dr. Frank to open it up, I was going into business thinking about it with a couple of other guys. We were asked to go visit a guy in LaGrange, Georgia, Dave Miller. He spent 2 hours with us, really going over what business is about, asking us questions about our families. And when we got up to leave and shook his hand, we got to the door to leave out of his conference room. He was getting ready to go through a door into his office. He turned around and said, "Fellows, one more thing." He said, "God brought you together in this new circumstance, and God allows us to get into relationships with other people for one primary purpose, besides being successful in whatever venture we choose. It's to reveal to each of you what's unchristlike about you that he wants to change." And the next thing he said was, "Have a good day," and shut his door. That was in 2000 or 2001. But I remember that now when I get into conflict, or I'm wanting to either dig in and get my way, or I'm wanting to give in just to feel safe. God's trying to reveal something to me that's unchristlike about me that he wants to change, because he's got more blessings for me. And the more I am under his control, the more he can bless me with, because the more he blesses me with, the more he knows I'm going to use it to serve others. So I'm going to leave it there, Dr. Frank, see what questions we have, what else anybody wants to add, and then I'll make sure that I give you my email address. So if you're interested in that free one-page assessment, that I will send you an access code. You can complete it, and we can discuss it if you want to.
Wow, that was powerful, John. Good man, that was powerful. I'm definitely got to go back and listen to this time after time. And I just love that last analogy that you just used, man. Said when you lose control, said then you said remove win and then remove control. That means then you lost. That's loss. So That's why it's so important, man, when we have conflict, we have to continue to check ourselves and what have you, man. Like I said, when we are in the middle of a conflict, it is always important to analyze, yourself, man, first. Whenever you're in a conflict, see, then that will avoid you from losing, man, when you lose control. So you got to be mindful of what's going on. You have to take control of oneself, because if you can't handle oneself, you can't handle others. Because that's when you started out when you said when you are setting yourself up for failure. When you feel you have all the answers and stuff, so you setting yourself up first, and that's so true, man. We got to ask ourselves what are we doing, man, when we start or when we get into a conflict, man. And you got to find out why. Why are you believing the way you are? What causing this to upset you the way it is, man? Because a lot of times, we got those roots deep seated in us, and we can't stand for people to check us, man. And sometimes it comes out of insecurity, and we don't want people to reveal certain things that in us. And we, hey, we, we riding below the radar in a sense, and then when some people say certain things and it reveals certain things about us, and we don't want certain people to know about it, and we take offense to that. And so we got to be very, very, very careful about that, man. So we got to be careful how we, that's why it pays when you get ready to have a conflict, you got to find out the root of why am I feeling like this, because what this girl just said, why is it upset me? Why it making me feel the way it feels? Analyze it before you really go deep into it, because you could make a huge mess out of it in a split second, man. So I'm going to start right there.
Amen.
Man, you were powerful, man. That was good, John. I thoroughly enjoyed it, man. I really did, man. And so, and I just pray after the night, like everybody was re-examine themselves, because that's what you were doing, like when you were giving those, when you told us to draw that window, do it now, involve other and support others, and do it right. So all of those were very, very important, man. So now I just pray and hope after night, man, like by us coming together, it would cause us to, stimulate one another's mind. So you definitely stimulate some mind tonight, man. And coming together, man, to get one another to start thinking and acting more constructively, and you definitely did that tonight, man. So you really opened up some avenues to get us to thinking through. You are challenging our mind tonight. So I'm going to start right there, man, open up, see if anybody else has anything, man. I certainly enjoy it, and I appreciate you, John.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
I like this.
Okay, one at a time.
Go ahead, man.
One at a time. I heard Earl again. I heard somebody right after Earl.
That's okay. I can wait because I have already spoke.
But go ahead.
Well, me too, Earl. You can go ahead.
All right. Well, thank you. I was just going to say that instead of a window, that analogy could have been better as a window pane, because it certainly, like Frank said, it gives them an opportunity to reflect. I'm sure glad I didn't speak up and say what style I thought I was, because I learned a lot about all of them. But I'm sorry, I didn't have anything important to say. I just wanted to throw that in there.
That was important.
I like that. Thank you, sir. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
I just wanted to say, this kind of touched on a lot of stuff I've been, going through the last couple of years. For me, I never really fed my spirit. So I really only lived by my flesh, and I used to get irritated, frustrated, and all that. And when I really started feeling my spirit, then I started really to be self-aware of the things I knew were wrong, and then I wouldn't do them. But it's a continual process. You got to continue to feed your spirit. You got to continue to grow every year. And the more and more I do it, I can look back and see I'm getting better at some things. But it's so weird because the more you get better at, the more other things start to come in. And
Amen.
It's actually really powerful because I'm learning how to, I'm actually mentoring people and coaching people and learning the different ways to speak to them. But it's all from just feeding my spirit. I mean, my whole life I pretty much lived off my flesh and made bad decisions. And, like, I'm at peace. I'm not financially, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm already at peace. I don't have to, have all that, the success I want. I don't need it, and it'll come when God is ready. And the thing now is I want to bring value to people. Before, it was just, more me, God give me some money and I'll help people, but it wasn't where, I can help people now. I don't have to wait till I get money.
Come on now. Yes,
so
sir.
It's just been a spiritual journey, and it's so funny, man. I've been, for years, I grew up in the church, and for years people used to always say, you're going to be a speaker, and I've been prophesied over that, say the same thing, and I was running from it because I was like, I don't want to be a pastor, and I just assumed being a speaker was a pastor. And I started speaking this year, just doing live videos, and God just really put it on me. And, every video I don't put God in it, but a lot of my videos, you feel the passion when I'm talking about God and the Spirit and Jesus. You feel it more, like I feel it more, and it excites me. Because at the end of the day, I'm only a better person because of Him. I'm only a better person because I'm feeding my spirit. I am not Amen. Who I was 2 years ago, and I don't want to be, 2 years from now, I don't want to be how I am right now. I want to be better, but it's so powerful to really focus and be, and you know, people talk about self-awareness. Like, I used to know when I did something wrong, but I only felt bad after I did it, right? So when I made a mistake, then I felt bad about it, but that's not really self-awareness. Self-awareness is actually realizing that you might make that mistake and stopping yourself from doing it. So,
beautiful.
Man, it's been powerful, and this was a great message.
Amen. It's powerful. All right, you can respond to that, John?
Yeah, I think what I've actually been reminded of is I facilitate a program called Crucial Conversations. I highly recommend the book. They've taken behavioral sciences and turned them into skills. And one of the things that they share with us is we tell ourselves 3 clever stories. And this is certainly a way for us to check ourselves, and I certainly catch myself doing it. One is I make myself a victim. You know, why is everybody always blaming me? It's making it my fault. And normally when I'm making myself a victim, it means I'm turning someone else into a villain, or I either become helpless. So when you start hearing yourself say there's nothing else I can do, or you say, and I'll use as an example here, you know, Dr. Frank, everything that we can say bad about him, he deserves it because I've just made him a villain, or I'm the victim. Well, how is it that we get out of those states? Well, number one, if I'm here to catch myself being the victim, I can simply ask this question and answer it. What role did I play in this situation? Or what role did I play in this problem? So now what I'm doing is I'm getting rid of that child ego state and coming back to the here and now, putting blood back in my head where I can be logical and rational. And if you make someone a villain, simply ask yourself, why would a reasonable, rational person behave the way they do? So again, I'm trying to put blood back into my head so I can be emotionally smart and be rational and logical. And then last but not least, the question I can ask myself when I find myself helpless is, what's one thing I could do right now to move me closer to what I wanted to achieve? So sometimes asking those questions, actually writing them out on paper, I'll speak for me, it helps me gain clarity on what I really want. And if what I really wanted, how would I behave to get that? And it wouldn't be from an emotional, woe is me, or I got to have what I want. It would really probably be about the relationship and strengthening and building trust. So I just throw that out there for you to think about when we overuse our strengths, or when we get under pressure and overuse our strengths, how that might be happening.
That's good, John. I like that. And what was the name of that book you said?
It's Crucial Conversations.
I'd like to chime in if I can. This is Carl.
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah, I came in a little late, and I'm definitely going to.
What statement is that? The ones I had last time I was there.
If you're not talking, hold on for a minute, Carl. If you're not speaking, mute yourself out, because I can hear somebody else talking in the background. So mute yourself out if you're not talking, so that way I won't have to mute everybody. Okay, Carl.
My presentation tonight, one of the things that jumped out on me, and it's kind of right on point with a book that I've been reading called The Way Forward by a brother by the name of Ishmael Tate, and his premises was no one owes us an apology. And what jumped out for me and what you were saying, people will sometimes do things or things will happen in our life and we expect someone to apologize, where in reality they don't even know that they did something that they should apologize for, and we can be carrying around pain of what someone else did unnecessarily. Mm-hmm. And it just goes to show us what we should do when we have wronged someone, or we feel that it's something that we, like you said, when we take an inventory and see that, okay, I might not should have said that, and be man enough to admit it and go back to that person and say, you know what I did or what I said was wrong, and I want to apologize for it. It makes us a bigger person. And that's what I was getting out of your message, which I heard tonight, and that's all I wanted to say.
Well, thank you. And this is Carl?
That's right, Carl Washington. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Carl.
Yeah, and that was.
Okay.
I appreciate that, Carl. Go ahead. I heard somebody say Frank. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is Brad Lewis. John, I think that was a fantastic message. Just wanted to add one part to it. I know you said when conflict may arise and we're in that circumstance that it reveals, where we are not Christ-like. I also think there's the same opportunity for it to reveal how great we are. And I think,
oh, wow.
I think we would kind of lose the idea of what we focus on more of is what we get. So what I tend to do, and when I'm coming up against circumstances and issues that may seem like they're conflicts, I focus on what are the things that I can learn out of this that reminds me that I am great. And the more I think about those things, the easier it is for me to transmute myself out of what could be a negative situation into those spaces that allow me to continue to focus on how grand or how great I am through the power of God. So just wanted to add that in there as well.
Thank you so much.
Well, appreciate that, Brad. Man, good to hear your voice, Brad. Ain't heard you in a while,
Good to hear you too.
Yeah, we ain't talked in a while,
been
man.
Been traveling, man. We just got back from Egypt. So,
oh, wow.
So
that's
it's
awesome.
all good.
That's awesome, man. Good to hear you. I'm glad everything went well, man. We need to talk, man. I need to hear more about that.
Yes.
Okay. So as everybody was talking, man, I was just sitting there thinking too, man. I said, like we can solve many problems, by approaching a conflict with the desire to solve it. A lot of times when we approach certain conflict, we don't have a desire on trying to solve it. Our thing is trying to be right and trying to win the argument, opposed to trying to solve it. Rather than merely blaming it on the other person, on the other party, we start trying to see what can we do to solve it, man. And then it would usually, and that would take open communication. In order to do that, that would take open communication. It got to be a dialogue there. Because we want to just, when we're mad, upset, have conflict, we don't want to hear what the other party got to say. We're more interested in trying to be right, than, trying to solve the problem, what have you. We want to allow the other person to explain, without interruption. We all want to, every time they say something, we want to interrupt and all this and that, man. And that way, if we learn how to get a better beat on that thing, man, we can solve that problem with no problem, man. We would be, if we just be willing to just listen sometimes. And some of the three are the hardest things that I found to be able to say, the words to be able to say when you upset, when you're in a conflict. One of them is, I was wrong. It's hard for us as men to say that. And the other one is to say, I'm sorry. It's hard for us as men to say that. And the other is to say, please forgive me. We ain't going to hardly say that. If we say forgive me, we ain't going to believe you me. We're not going to hardly put please on it. We say, forgive me. That inner attitude, like, so we got to learn how to be in good control, because a lot of times it's not what we say, it's how we say it. Because a lot of the problems, guys, that we have, it's not necessarily a problem. It's all about perspective. Everything is about perspective, man. It's how we see it. It's not a problem, because we make it a problem sometimes about our perspective and what have you. So I'm going to start right there and give somebody the time. It's 2 minutes after 9. So I just had to throw that little bit in, man. Man, this has been awesome tonight, man. I love this, man. John, you done opened up a can of worms, man. I want to continue this, man. We're going to have to bring you back to a part 2, John.
Can I say something real
Okay.
quick?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. I heard somebody in the background say, can I say something real quick?
Yeah, this is Larry. All that you just said, Frank, is true. And I was like that. I didn't really like saying sorry. I wanted to cut people off when they was trying to explain. Right. But what I learned, and I believe it's really about feeding your spirit, is that I own it now. I don't even care if it's not my fault. I own it. And my mom actually has been having a problem with my dad, thinking that he should apologize for something that happened, 50 years ago. I don't even know, a long time ago, before I was born. And I said the same thing. I don't know who just said that, but someone said that, the other person might not even know what they're supposed to be saying sorry for. And that's what I just explained to her. Like, he doesn't know. And really, it doesn't really matter, that long ago. You just got to own what you did and move forward. And so it's really about owning. I think when you own something and you own your part, then it's easier to have those type of conversations, because now you're not worried about what they really say, because you're owning your part anyway. Now you just need to listen to see how it made them feel. And so owning whatever it is, man, is a big part. And I think it has to do with feeding the spirit and being in a place, where the Holy Spirit can work through you. Because if we let our flesh do it, it ain't going to go right. It ain't gonna go right.
Man, you said, I hate to keep cutting back in, guy. I won't get somebody else. Man, Larry, what you just said then about owning it, and that's very, very key, man. That's just like you can't really straighten anything out. You can't make the change. You can't do what you want to do until you own it. You can't move from certain things, man, until you own it, man. It's just like if I'll just use an illustration. Like if you rent an apartment complex and you want to add another room to it or tear the wall out, you can't do that because you don't own it. But if you own it, you can do whatever you want to do. And so you own that thing, man, then you got the rights to be able to move forward, to put that thing up under your feet, to do whatever. So you got to own it, man. You got to. And that was powerful right there, Larry. I appreciate that. All right, someone else. Right?
Uncle Frank, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I hear you well. Go ahead, Art.
Yeah, listen, I'm always amazed about the calls we have, and the brother tonight, in my opinion, he brought a powerful word in the most simplest way that you can bring it. And my mom used to tell me all the time, she said, baby, she said, understanding and communication is the best thing you can have. And sometimes we as men, like Uncle Frank, Dr. Uncle Frank was saying, we have a problem with communicating our emotions as to effectively apologize, even if, like the brother said, we may not feel like we in the wrong. We have a problem with omitting, maybe when we are wrong. But some of the most simplest ways to handle that, I think the brother, his 4 steps, took us through some of those, and he gave perfect biblical examples, of some of the most powerful people in the Bible. So this call, and I don't mean to belittle it in any kind of way, but it was a simple call with some unbelievable great answers to solve some of the most, problems that we magnify bigger than what they really are. And what I got out of it, keep it simple. If we keep it simple, I think we can get through this thing. I appreciate the call.
Hey, man, we appreciate that. Go ahead, John. You going to respond to that, John?
I just really wanted to say thank you. My goal tonight was just to ask God to speak through me. And as I've heard on the call tonight, it never is about me. And when I make it about me, I promise I always hurt people and get hurt. So thank you for all of you for your feedback tonight.
Man, thank you, John. You done started something, man. I mean, a lot of things that probably people were dealing with, they've been having to cover the problems. You released a lot of people tonight. I'm sure. I can just feel it, man. I can feel it in the atmosphere. A lot of people were released tonight. And so you'll be some people going tomorrow saying, I'm sorry. Especially, like if you consider yourself as a follower of Christ, how should a follower of Christ, respond to certain conflicts? What have you. How should they respond? Can any of you got to ask yourself, especially as a follower of Christ, can anything good possibly come from the pain others bring into our life? Like as a Christian, you should ask yourself that. Can anything positive come from this conflict? From the pain that someone else done brought into your life. You always look for the good in it, and you will find it. If you look for it, you will find it, because there's always something good in what. I don't care how bad it is, it's always something good in it. You have to look for it, man. Because you look for the opportunity in it to make yourself better. That's just like, Chinese, for instance, like when they house get burnt down, and they standing out there looking at the house burned down, and they looking at it saying, opportunity, opportunity, opportunity. Then our house get burned down a lot of times. We lost everything. We just go for now. So that's the way we have to do. We have to look at the opportunity in whatever going down, and you'll be surprised how you will get through it, man. You'll be surprised. And that will really help you. So when everything's not going right in your life, you look at it and say, what is it that I'm to learn from this. It's something in it for you to learn, you know. So if you don't learn from it, you're going more likely you'll wind up repeating it. You'll go through it again. Because that's just like in school. If you don't pass the test, you're going to have to retake your test if you don't pass. And so that was good, John. I really appreciate you, man. It's about 10 minutes after 9. I just want to if anyway possible, I just feel like somebody that hadn't spoke up, they got something burning on their heart. They just like to say, want to get off your chest. Got one person right quick.
Uncle Frank.
Go ahead, Gerard.
Andy.
Oh, Andy. Okay, Andy. Oh,
yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey, John. I like to say I enjoyed it, and one of the things I enjoyed most was that the way you broke it out into those 4 parts of the window, and it allowed people to find themselves. And I realized that once you find yourself, then there's less conflict with others and with yourself. You know, because a lot of times I think conflict comes. I think Uncle Frank said something earlier. He's saying a lot of times conflict comes when there's insecurity. But when you're secure in who you are, then there's if someone was to say, hey, I can tell a man that, hey, I love you, and there's security because I know who I am. So I'm not wondering if they're gonna think it's a gay thing or nothing like that.
Come on now.
When there's security, you don't have. When you know who you are, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about being jealous of someone else's talents or gifts or their wife or their home. And I it's good, like you say. I'm just glad that you were able to break that out, in those parts, so we can know who we are, find that out, and then build on that, and then that way we can learn how we can serve others. I think that'll help us to know where we fit in.
Thank you, Andy. That was powerful.
So thanks again.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that was powerful, and we appreciate that, man. We live in a world now that's full of conflicts, man. Conflicts occur not only between our families, it come between not just our enemies. The conflict come between our family, our friends. We have that inborn selfishness that's in us that provide countless opportunities in order for us to have conflict. So that's why, we have to be careful. We have to deal with those things, man. We have to be mindful of what we're dealing with, what we are facing. That's why I said we have to analyze that thing, because if we just act on impulse when certain things come into our life, man, we're blowing out of proportion. So that's why we got to get a beat of ourselves, man, especially if you're a follower of Christ, man. So you make a mission, and you got people standing on the sideline watching how you behave. Man, you represent God. You making God look bad if you act in any way other than the way He would have you to act. So you got to be careful when you have conflict, because you represent God, man. Sometimes it's only a test. If you you pass that test, God got a huge promotion and reward for you. So you got to be careful how you handle conflict. So it's only conflict if you're allowed to be a conflict. So that's why I'm saying, you got to look at that thing and say, and look for the reward and look for the opportunity in that conflict, and you'll be surprised. All right, guys, we got any first-time callers on the call tonight? Any first-time callers that's never been on the FORCEOF1 call, just want to say hello and tell us hello and who you're invited by. Any first time? Okay, Sharon, you on? Sharon. Okay, I guess now I'm just gonna let him tell you a little bit something about our social media and everything, how we get ready to do a lot of great things. So you'll hear more about it next week. I'll let him come on. I'm not a social media man. I'm not doing good on it, so I'm not gonna mess it up. I'm gonna let him. Jeff, are you on? How about Donnell? Okay, all right, guys. I'm going to bring John back and let him close out, guys, and we're having our breakfast the 14th of next month, the 14th of October at the Ron Allison Building. Brad, if you can make it, man, the same place where you came the last time, It's over there on Ron Ellensby, 3280 Macedonia Road, and it starts at 10 o'clock, and that's on the 14th of October. So love for you everybody that can and will, please come out and breakfast with the cost no more about $10. And so let's come out, man, and just love on one another, man, and just meet some guys that you have never seen before. Let's make this a grand thing out here. Also, invite someone. Bring your son out. Bring a friend out. Bring your daddy. Bring somebody out with you guys. Let's see, can we pack the place out, man, and just encourage one another. All right.
Hey, Frank. Frank.
Uncle Frank. Yes, sir. Who's that speaking?
Hey, this is Lo.
Brother Fred.
All right, go ahead, Lo. I wonder why you, man. I didn't comment on you.
No, man, I was giving those guys a chance tonight, man, to field their questions and stuff. But John, a great job tonight. You mentioned something about a survey. How do they get in touch with you with the survey and get the code for the survey?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Lo. If you will send an email to me, it's John, John, at Power, that's P as in Paul, OWER, the number 2, transform.com. So that's okay. John at power2transform.com. And I just put a quick word on the Force of One Facebook with that information on there.
Okay, great. Hey, great. Appreciate that. We'll be sending you some emails.
Absolutely.
That's a good question, though. I appreciate that, my brother.
Got you, Doc.
All right. Something else I was about to say. I forgot what it was.
Uncle Frank.
Yes, sir.
It's Brother Frederick.
What's going on, Brother Frederick? Okay, yeah. I started calling down to with Brother Frederick. I know you were busy down there in Alabama. Go ahead, talk to us, Fred. You want to add a little something?
I mean, it was a wonderful call, man. I took notes. I like the 4 concepts that was presented on tonight on the Force of One broadcast, so I don't really have anything to add to it or take away from it. I want to remind everyone that's on the broadcast that on our social media platform, you want to type in the Force of One, the numerical 1, and no spaces when you're typing in Google. Just typing in Force of One with no spaces, the numerical 1. And when you get to the Twitter page now, you will see the Force of One Media. So it'll be the Force of One Media. If you want to go to the Twitter page directly, it's the Twitter handle is at Force of One Media. Force of One Media. And also, you can reach on our Facebook page too as well. Facebook page is the Force of One. Force of One Men. If just the Force of One, you put it in Force of One Men or the Force of One, and it will come up since we have a lot of feeds on the Facebook page. And also on Instagram, it will be Force of One Media as well. So on the Facebook page, everything is more up to date as far as the videos and things that will be said on tonight or other things that from previous events that we have. So that's all the social media platforms. Once again, we're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and also on YouTube as well. We're coordinating the so on YouTube you have to type in Force of One Media as well. That's everything that I said. So
blah blah blah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Fred.
Thank y'all.
My bad, guys. My bad.
All right, that's it. This time.
I thought I was on mute. My bad, guys.
Just don't let it happen.
You're on the global platform, so they're gonna hear your blah 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 on YouTube. So
I was talking to my daughter. I mean,
we'll edit it out. We'll cut it out.
Okay, I really appreciate that.
All right, Uncle Frank, go ahead, man.
All right, I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much, for bringing that info, And Duke, did you ever make it on? I know Duke was having the same problem John was having. He said they wouldn't let him in. So I got to find out, what causing that. All right, guys. John, I'm going to turn it back over to you, man. You can have your last word, John, and you can close it out in prayer. And I just want to thank each and everybody, for chiming in tonight, man. It continues to hang and stick with it, man. We got some great things, like coming down the pipe. And also, we're getting ready to have our youth conference coming up November the 4th. We're going to be over in the West End Mall. We're going to be trying to get as many young guys as possible to start thinking entrepreneur. So that's the key, man. We got to be able to reach out to our young people more. Because like I always say, we doesn't have a youth problem. We have an adult problem. So we too quick to say ain't no hope for these young people. But there is hope. Only way there don't be no hope is people like you and I give up on them. We just got to let them know that we believe in them, because you got to realize some of the environment that these guys grew up in, man. They grew up damaged. A lot of these guys did. So we got to be able to reach out and embrace them and let them know that there is hope for them. We can't just be so quick to write them off, because we are at a critical time in our life, man, and God probably align this problem. I'm just seeing how we're going to deal with it, man. So we got to pass the test. If we don't pass the test, we're going to continue to get this thing, continue to getting what we're getting. We'll probably get more of it. And sometimes we feel like this is not my fight until it affects your household. So you got to do what you can before it affects your household. And if you got, like a lot of times, man, everything running smooth in my life, I don't have no problems. If you don't have no problem, you're a selfish person, man. Very selfish person. There's no place in this world for you. Because if you just look around seeing all the problems that in this world, and that should be your problem right now. Everything may be running smooth in your life. You get what you want when you want it, go where you want to go when you want to go with no problem. Got a pocket full of money, got money stashed in the bank, and all this and that, man. And and then you talking about I ain't got no problem. You selfish. If other people having problems, you should have problems. You should be having problems because they're having problems. That's love and concern, man. That's what John was talking about tonight, man. We got to support others, because it's not a me thing. It's a we thing. Because you might not be having no problem right now, but sooner or later, just keep acting and living as though you're not having no problem and see what happens. Okay, I'm going to stop right there, man. That's a touchy situation for me, man. We got a lot of work to do in our communities and everything, man. So, John, is back in your court, man. You can go ahead and have your last word and close us out in prayer, man. Once again, we really appreciate you for stepping up tonight, man. You did an outstanding job, John. So we definitely going to have to bring you back for a part 2. So start working, man, on your next lesson. And you can do, and you can repeat this one if you like. Just whatever you want to do. Just start working on your next lesson. We're gonna bring you back real soon. All right, John. Back to you. Go.
Frank, I'll throw this out to you and everybody. If you want me to come over on a Saturday morning and spend 4 hours with you guys, and especially with this assessment that some of you are going to take, we can actually get a little bit deeper. It's got a book that comes with it that's a little bit of a cost, $10 or $12, but it really lets you dig in deeper about understanding how God wired you, and then we can discuss the intent behind us using our talents in a way to truly serve others. Because I think what I'm really, really reminded of, and I'll speak for me, is for a long time I never knew how to love me, because I always felt I had to please others, or I felt I had to be strong, and because of that, God could not work through me. And because he couldn't work through me, I wasn't patient, I wasn't kind, I wasn't gentle, I wasn't understanding, I wasn't joyful, I didn't have peace. So therefore, no one else could feel love from me. And I think what I'm reminded of tonight, to all these great men who've come in and chimed in and shared their takeaways and added to and made this more powerful than it could have been, is that when we allow each person to be themselves and love them for who they are, and I truly take the time to listen to you, I can enter your space in a way that makes sense to you. And when I do that, God will speak through me into your listening and deliver a message for you that is meant only for you. And that's what I took away from tonight. And so I'll throw the idea out. If you guys want me to come over for a Saturday, I'm not looking for any payment. I'm just looking to come over and share what people have poured into me and what God has put on my heart to study and know more about. And that's just to help people learn to lead themselves in a way and use their talents to serve others and glorify God.
Oh, man, that's powerful, John. Where are you at? You're in Texas, right, John?
No, I'm in Huntsville, Alabama.
Oh, okay. Okay, you're not. Okay, I don't know why I'm thinking you was in Texas. Okay, one guy just texted me and said, have you to come to the breakfast on Saturday and do the assessment. Well, because I was what do you think, guys? Let me get some feedback. What do you think, guys? You think this breakfast coming up will be a good time? Will you guys come out, and if you want it for this coming up? Let me hear some feedback, guys.
Sounds good.
Who was that?
Andy.
Okay, how about the other guy?
Hey, Frank, this is Lowe. This is some invaluable training. You're not going to get this caliber training nowhere else in the country. I've taken all kind of surveys like that, Strength Finders 2.0, Myers-Briggs, all of those, and he's offering these services to us, guys. This is one of those opportunities where you can develop yourself as a person so you can equip yourself better to handle family members, handle yourself, handle coworkers, handle colleagues, and just learn a lot of interpersonal skills about yourself. You don't want to pass this up. So yeah, Frank, definitely non-negotiable. You should make this happen.
All right, you gonna fly in,
Frank? If I could just chime in for a minute, Frank. This month with some speaking activities I've got, the rest of this month and then into October is not good for me. If that's okay.
October not good for you?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll.
Frank, we need to kind of get him in when we have one of those big events and let him be kind of one of the capstone pieces of the event. Like a workshop, because that's how what he has to offer is really designed for like a workshop type of thing.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
He's going to need an hour, a couple hours out to be effective and accomplish what he wants. But trust me, people will walk away transformed.
Let me
the father and son red tie event would be a great.
That's what I was just thinking, Fred. I'm about ready to say the same thing. Maybe we can bring him in on the father and son red tie event or something. That would be something totally different. How much time will you need for this, John?
If we're going to get a big bang for our buck, I would prefer 2 to 3 hours because there will be a little bit of reading and working in groups, and I'll also need to create some activity for the children to be able to kind of determine their behavioral style as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, John. Let me talk and see where it can be a good fit, like for the father and son, and let us assess it a little bit more. But we definitely gonna get you in, though. Most definitely. I really appreciate that offer, man. That means a whole lot, John. That means a whole lot.
Yeah, and it's more than just an assessment, Frank. It's because we use training like this for our big commanders conferences. When we bring all of our commanders in, we'll bring someone like John in to talk about resilience, some activities, and in the process, building us together as a team, and at the same time learning our break off in sessions and getting an opportunity to learn our individual strengths so we can go back and lead our soldiers. So this would definitely be a awesome special treat for the father-son event, because you want that big core thing, and this could be that big core thing for the fathers to walk away with a unique skill set to understand their children. The children walk away with another unique skill set, understanding themselves so they can better relate to their fathers. I mean, there's definitely a tie-in to be able to leverage his system.
Okay. All right, John, we'll talk more about it. Like I say, as of now, how about January? Look, we usually have our father and son event in January, John. January.
Absolutely. Just give me the date.
Yeah, but we'll probably somewhere about the third week in January.
Okay.
Okay, whatever Saturday, the third week in January, go ahead and mark it down. We'll go.
I'll do it, sir.
Okay, John. I don't know why I was thinking you was in Texas. Maybe beforehand, maybe we're gonna have to meet somewhere in the middle, and maybe do lunch or something. John, what part of Alabama?
I'm up just about an hour north of Birmingham.
Oh, okay. Because I come to Alabama from time to time, man. You know, so
what part?
Birmingham, to down there to UAB.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I've actually spoken at UAB to some medical students.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I'm glad we got clarity on that now. Okay, so we'll get together, probably meet somewhere in the middle before then. You know, just maybe let break bread. And I'm gonna show you I'm not selfish. I'm gonna let you buy my lunch.
Oh, I appreciate that. And as long as you like, and Frank, as long as you like bread and water, I'm good because it's free.
That's a good comeback there. That's a good comeback there.
My favorite.
I'm going to have to use that comeback.
All right, yeah, this has been
Hey, John, can you say your email address again slowly?
Yes, sir. It's John, that's JOHN, at Power, spelled P as in Paul, OWER, the number 2, transform, that's T as in Tom, RANSFORM.com. So John at power2transform.com.
The numerical 2, correct?
That is correct, sir. The numerical 2. Thank you for clarifying.
Whenever you go to the website, I went to the website and a lot of different things come up. Where do we go to actually do the assessment?
If you'll send me the email address, I'm going to send you a personal access code.
Okay, all right.
To complete it. And there'll be a link in the email for you to click on it and then complete it, and I'll set it up so that you can, it'll be a quick one-page assessment or one-page results, and it's going to reference a book, The 8 Dimensions of Leadership. So it'll give you a little bit of information about your primary leadership dimension, and then it'll reference in the book where you can learn more about you. And if you want to buy the book, great. If not, I can share some information with you if you choose to have a phone call. And what it's going to let you do is identify some areas you want to get better in, and the book takes you into those chapters to learn how to use a different style to be more effective for yourself.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
John,
all right.
Oh, that somebody didn't say something?
No, go ahead, Uncle Frank. Close us out.
Okay. All right, John.
Yeah,
go
close
ahead,
us out, Dr. Frank.
No, it's on you, John. You close us out.
Heavenly Father, I'm just so amazed, and I shouldn't be, Lord, that when you bring a group of men together whose heart is for you, the power that comes out of it, and how we get to learn, Father, not only what we're great at, but the things that you want us to get better at so that we can love others as we love ourselves. But we know, Lord, that first comes from loving you with all our heart, all our soul, all our mind. And we know that this world puts pressures on us, and we know that we have our own emotional wounds, Lord, and that you're wanting to heal those. And so, Father, tonight I just pray that we all took away one nugget, one thing, Lord, that we can do to not only love ourselves better, to want to love you more, but just as important, God, one tool, one nugget that we can serve someone else with by being more patient, more understanding, more gentle, more kind. And we know, Lord, that comes from self-control, following your will, and learning to be patient, and that we can be more patient, Lord, when we're filled with the joy and peace that only you can give us. So, Lord, in closing out in James 1:19, let us just be, Father, teach us more to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger, Lord, because when we listen, Father, we have an opportunity to speak into someone else's listening in a way that makes sense to them through you guiding us. So I just ask you, Father, to to pour blessings over these men, Lord, to let them know, Father, that it doesn't matter where we are, what we're going through, what we're thinking about ourselves, that you don't think those bad things, Lord. It's all been washed away when you sent your Son, Jesus Christ, back to restore your image, Father, on this earth of who we are and whose we are. In Jesus' name, Father, I ask all this. Amen.
Amen. Amen. And one more thing, right quick, guys. I purchased a book today, and it's subject tonight. John, what would you name this topic tonight? Because so we know how to label it. What would you name it? What would your name be? And now, what do you think about that? Just to say this right quick. When I bought a book today, it's right in line with what you talked about tonight. When others make your life difficult, and it's by Daniel E. Miller. Daniel E. Miller said, when others make your life difficult. Awesome book, guys. It was right on time. Okay, John, what would you entitle this topic tonight?
Well, it's something I'd like to pray on, if you don't mind, Dr. Frank. But I think what it really boils down to, it's learning how to understand why you're misunderstood and why you misunderstand others. But I'd like to put it in more of a, since it's a father-son affair, I'd like to think about that some, if you don't mind. And I'd also like input from the other men on the call tonight. What do they think we ought to title it?
Okay.
If they give input, because to me it's how to. It's almost like how to give up control to get more control. And really, it's giving up fleshly control to get spiritual control. But again, I'd like to think about it and come up with something that's a little bit more attention-grabbing with a subtitle to it.
Okay, can you sleep on it and let me know tomorrow? Because we want to get it.
I will, sir.
Okay,
I will.
Okay, I appreciate you, man. Love you.
Yep.
I love all you guys, man. I appreciate you very, very much. You just don't.
I love y'all too, and thank you for allowing me to be a part of this.
Yeah, man. Thank you for being a part. Okay. All right, guys. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.